I saved over £2,000 converting currency to buy an apartment in Spain here. In this video, I'm going to show you how you could save thousands on your travel money or potential foreign property investment by using a digital bank like this instead of a high street bank like that. My name is Jay Barrett. I'm a former investment banker, bond trader, and now entrepreneur, and I'm here to help you improve your business and financial game. To see how this works, we've first got to understand how the banks trade foreign currency among themselves using what's called the FX interbank rate. Jumping onto xe.com and looking at the GBP pound sterling to euros rate, if we go to the charts for the past week, you can see that this rate has fluctuated between around 1.16 to 1.17, meaning that £1 would get you approximately 1.17 euros in the interbank market. So interbank literally means one bank trading with another bank. So if we imagine you have Bank A here trading with the other banks on the street or in the marketplace, such as Bank B, C, D, and so on. So from the perspective of Bank A, they will say at what price they would be willing to buy the euros with pounds. So in this case, they would buy at a rate of 1.17081. Versus they also would say that they would be willing to sell euros they may hold at 1.17091. Obviously, they're trying to buy the euros more cheaply and then sell them at a very, very marginally slightly higher price. And this is the prices that they are showing to these other banks in the street. Now, obviously, the other banks will also do the same thing and show to the marketplace the prices that they are willing to offer. So if I reveal this, using the same logic, Bank B would buy at 1.17084, so slightly better than Bank A, versus they would sell at 1.17090. That's also slightly better because they're offering to sell at a slightly lower price than Bank A, which is obviously an improvement. And you can continue down the list, Bank C, Bank D, etc. Now, the interbank market actually happens on a trading platform, and you can think of this kind of just like a big box that is aggregating all of these prices from each individual bank, which is sending that price information into the trading platform. And just a bit of jargon here, the trading platform will talk about a bid and an ask. That just means the bid is the best price a bank is willing to buy at, and an ask is the best price a bank is willing to sell at. Anyway, so the trading platform will literally just display each of the banks, A, B, C, D, their buy and sell or bid and ask prices. Now, the trading platform will have an intelligent algorithm which is able to sort through all of these bid or buy prices and find which is the best one. So in this particular case, Bank D actually has the highest bid price there, 1.17088, which is much higher than that first example of Bank A, 1.17081. So that will be the best bid. And similarly, with the ask, it will sort through and find who has the lowest ask or the lowest price they're willing to sell that currency. And in this case, it's Bank B, with that rate there ending in 90. Now, the last step is the trading platform will then isolate the two best bids and asks and then display that over here. So in this case, you'd have Bank D's best bid, 1.17088, and Bank B's best ask, 1.17090. So across all those different banks, they are the best possible prices that you could get for either buying or selling if you were another bank wanting to transact within that interbank market. And obviously, because you're comparing across so many different participants, the difference here, or the spread, is much smaller than that larger difference there, because you're getting the best of what everyone has to offer on either those bid or asks. So in this case, there's only a difference of 2. Now, coming back to the interbank rate that we see published, that you may look up on sites like XE, all that they do is they just take whatever is the midpoint between the bid and the ask. So in this case, it would just be the difference between those. So it would be 1.17089, and that is the midpoint between the bid and the ask, which is that rate that we saw earlier. That's the interbank rate. And this rate is determined on an ongoing basis. And these banks will keep updating these prices all through the day, sometimes every few seconds. And that will continuously keep updating the trading platform. And these best bid and asks may jump around, as it goes through the day. And therefore that will then update over here, and the mid price will slowly kind of go up and down through the day, as you see in the charts.
Fairy dust.
Now, when it comes to buying or selling currency, if you're not one of these global banks transacting in tens of millions of dollars and you just want to, say, buy your travel currency, you have to look at the retail rate. Now, that is where high street banks like, say, Halifax, for example, they would look at this mid interbank rate and then they just add on their margin. So, for example, Halifax may say add a 3% margin. So if you were going to buy your currency, then they'd actually make the rate, if you like, 3% worse. So in this case, if the mid is 1.17 plus the 3%, instead of getting 1.17 euros, you might only get 1.14 euros, 3% added to that.
So now we understand the difference between the interbank FX rate and the retail rate. You can start to see how potentially you could save thousands if you're thinking of investing in property abroad. And before I go on, I should say the example I'm going to give is not intended as some sort of flex or trying to show off. I'm just trying to show my real world experience when I purchased this apartment in Spain. With that in mind, jumping onto the computer, the original apartment property price was 250,000 euros. Now, in Spain, as a non-resident, the mortgage deposit requirement was 40%, which obviously means quite a large cash deposit it was around 100,000 euros. Now, if you remember the interbank rates, if we just refresh on xe.com here, the current interbank rate right this minute is 1.1651807. So, if we were able to transact at that rate and we converted the 100,000 euros, that would be equivalent to £85,824. Now, just out of curiosity, I bank with Halifax and I'm currently logged in here. And they have the ability to send payments abroad. And you can just do it through the online system. You don't actually need to go into the branch. Anyway, if we said that we wanted to transfer £100,000, let's see what rate they would give us. That's interesting. So the Halifax rate right this moment is 1.14 euros. So converting that, I mean, they've actually done it for us, but here on the spreadsheet, you can see applying that rate, 100,000 euros at that rate would be equivalent to, let's go green, £87,719. So obviously that's worse because we're paying the retail rate through Halifax. And if you work out the difference here between that and the interbank equivalent, that's a difference of nearly £2,000. Well, okay, 1,896. But these vary through the day. And when I tried it earlier, it was actually even worse than that. And if you look at this statement here on the Halifax page, they even explain why in this pop-up menu. And it says that the standard exchange rate shown here does include a margin, and which for this transaction is £1,919. This is the difference between the standard exchange rate and the rate at which we buy and sell currency in the foreign exchange markets, the wholesale rate. That's the interbank rate. So there's a real world example of the difference. Now let's look at how could we get a better rate elsewhere. And so the moment you've all been waiting for, the solution to this, and I think possibly the best service for foreign exchange worldwide, is the digital bank Revolut. Now, if we jump onto their website and navigate to their pricing plans, I actually have the premium account. And in here, you can look at all the benefits of having the bank account with them. But the key point is down here on currency. And it says you can exchange in up to 30 currencies with no fees. And with the premium account, that is unlimited. So you can transact as much currency as you want all day long. There's also a helpful blog that Revolut put some articles, and I found this piece here talking about the interbank rate. It says here, one of the things we're most proud of at Revolut is the ability for you to exchange currencies at the interbank rate. Now, there's very few companies in the world which actually enable you to do this, even if you're transacting at very, very small amounts. One key caveat, though, they do mention that if you try to do a trade outside of weekdays on the weekend, they may apply some markup. So if you're going to do a large amount, try and avoid that and do it during normal office hours, and then you get the absolute best rates. Talking of which, if we jump onto the app where I'm currently logged in, you can see here, this is my account. And I'm just going to navigate to show you my premium plan. And there it says I have the no cap unlimited currency exchange. Now I'm going to try and exchange some currency. If you click here, you can see the different rates and how that changes. So you can get live prices before you transact. And now I'm going to put in the 100,000 euros and see how much that comes out to. Well, you can see there, based on that interbank rate of 1.1654, that's coming out 100,000 euros at roughly £85,000. And if I just check that on the spreadsheet from before, put in that 1.1654, and that converts that 100,000 euros to, £85,807. Exactly. No fees, nothing else. And comparing back to the Halifax rate, which would have cost me £87,000, there you see the difference. Couldn't be clearer than that. Nearly £2,000 cheaper transacting the currency through Revolut compared to a high street bank. Now, that is hard to argue with. And even if you weren't buying a property, if you just needed some travel money or any transactions you were going to do, if you do it through this system, you can literally save hundreds, if not thousands of pounds.
Right.
Now, you might be asking, what about the competitors outside of the high street banks? There are several other digital banks similar to Revolut offering this currency service. I'd just like to run through a few options if you want to shop around. The first one is Currency, and they state they also offer the interbank rate, but only across 16 currencies. And on their website, they do provide some quotes for the main currency pairs. You've also got TransferWise, now called Wise. They also claim to offer the interbank rate, although they do say on their fees page, they charge an additional 0.41% fee or possibly more depending on the currency. They also have a calculator here and you can kind of work out what that would give you. Next, we've got Monzo. Now, they actually use the MasterCard rate. And if you're wondering what that is, it's basically just the interbank rate plus a bit more. So They go through how you can exchange on here using that MasterCard rate and give you a breakdown of the markup on that margin. Next, you have the Clarity credit card from Halifax. They also use that same MasterCard rate, although they don't have any additional fees. Then another competitor is from Curve. Again, they're using the MasterCard rate, and depending which plan you have, they give a detailed breakdown of all the additional fees. And lastly, you have Starling Bank. I found it difficult to find exactly what rate they use, but I think they're using the MasterCard rate as well. Now, pulling all of that together, I've actually done this in a spreadsheet. And going back to that example from Revolut, we've got that 1.1654 interbank rate with 0 fees. Now, running down the options, I think Currency is the only other digital bank that can compete with Revolut. They also offer the interbank rate, and if you have the premium plan, there are no additional fees. And on that sterling euro rate, it would work out the same, so they are worth a look. However, pretty much all of the other digital banks, one way or another, are not quite as good. So, for example, TransferWise, they do offer the interbank rate, but then they add on that 0.41% fee. And on that 100,000 euros amount, that would work out £429 worse off. And then running down the list, Monzo, Clarity and Curve, and I think also Starling, all use the MasterCard rate instead of the interbank rate. Now, even though they have no fees, because they're using the MasterCard rate, which is higher than that interbank rate, it still works out worse off. So you can see there, when you do the maths, it's around £300 to £400 more expensive transacting the same £100,000 on that MasterCard rate versus the interbank rate available with Revolut and Currency. So there you have it. If you're looking across all those different competitors, I think the only one globally where you can get this deal is either Revolut or Currency. And that's a wrap. If you found this useful and you'd like to hear more about my business, investment and savings tips, then you know what to do down below. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.